What up, everybody? Chuck Rucker, Ruck's Places, the podcast, and I'm bringing you guys a brand new episode. It's Friday, y'all. I hope y'all are looking forward to a couple of days off from the grind. And I hope you guys got something special planned, man, like always. And I want to get straight into the episode. This is my Friday drop, as you guys know. Some of you are looking forward to it. And here it is. I'm going to deliver it to you. All right, here we go. So, I want to talk about in this episode something that's very important to me that I have known for many, many years and I have advised on for many, many years, man. And that is having the ability to tell your story, right? Just becoming a masterful storyteller. The art of storytelling is I can't tell you guys how important it is, right? In almost everything that we do, in our friendships, in our relationships, in our businesses, in our on the job, in our communities, those of us who have the ability to tell a story tend to be the most successful. Think about it. Ponder that, right? I always say ponder that. I know everybody's like, why does he always say ponder that? Ponder it. No, seriously, think about that, right? The storytellers in our lives are the ones that we kind of latch on to and we kind of get fed or we buy into, depending on the degree in which they deliver a story. We kind of get tied up, sucked into, whether it's a sob story or whether it's the greatest story you've ever heard about the greatest experience or the worst experience. We love a storyteller. Every business has a story, just like every person's business has a story. Your personal life is a business for whether you want it to be or not. It is what it is, right? But we have a story. We have a backstory. We have some obstacles. We have some highs, some lows. We have some stale spots. We have some super exciting things that happen in our lives, and we have some things that we probably don't want written in the chapters of our book, right? This book of life that we are definitely the author of, whether you want to be or not, whether you're taking advice from somebody else who's misadvising you, or you're taking advice from somebody who's telling you how to, that's really guiding you to an end, right? You're the author of the story and you're responsible for the decisions that you make that fill in the pages of your life, right? And when we become masterful at telling stories, a whole different world opens up to us. A lot of us don't even realize we're telling a story, whether we're doing it verbally, non-verbally, whether we're doing it in our actions from across the street, when somebody's viewing you from across the hall, from across the aisle, from across wherever. Maybe they're sitting right next to you at a dinner table or just in an intimate space with your significant loved one, right? You're telling a story, right? And the value in it, right, is something that I've been talking about, especially on my in my line of work, right, in this podcasting business, and in sales of any kind. The salesperson has to have a story to tell, and when the other person, whoever they're representing or in the relationship with, has a story, it makes for a better, brand new chapter that will be written because you guys crossed each other's path and decided to open your mouth and talk about whatever it is that is happening in that situation, right? The ability, the art of storytelling can take you and put you in places that you have not or have not even thought about, right? You don't even think about it. It's like even when you go to work and you come home on Friday, this Friday when you get home, if you got a loved one sitting at home waiting for you or somebody you're going to run into, dinner later with the girls or out with the guys, doing whatever, right? Chances are you can't wait to, especially if you're a person like me, you're out in the world, you You can't wait to tell somebody about what's happening. Sometimes we're talking so much. It used to be this thing about how society kind of ran, right? When the husband gets home from a long day, the wife wants to tell him all about what Jimmy and Sheila and little Tabitha and yeah, right, Yolanda and James or whatever, all about what James or Tabitha did today, right? The teacher said this, right? Or that girl went over and did this and yada, 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 yada. Or it's a positive story. Can you believe little Tommy scored the goal, the winning goal, right? And the husband's like, oh my God, all I want to do is kick my feet up, sit in my lazy boy, watch the news and watch the game, man. Right? Remember that? It used to be that way. Yeah, society used to be the man worked and the woman stayed home and cared for the kids in the home, right? And he didn't really want to hear that. I used to have a friend, he passed away, rest his peace, rest his soul, rest in peace, right? he was a very wealthy dude, right? He would catch a plane in a day from California to New York just to have lunch and then come back, right? He was doing so well in life before his demise. And he used to say, man, I'm looking for a good pair of headphones. And I would be like, well, what do you need? Why are you so in need of a pair of good headphones? And he would say, it's the only way I could live with her. Listen, this is not my life, right? This was his life, right? And I'm telling the story of my friend who taught me a lot of things from. I'm honoring him and remembering him through story. Right? Used to say, back to the story. Used to say, I have to have if I don't put on a pair of headphones, man, he said, she will come to me every 5 seconds to tell me something. After a long day at work, I just want to sit back and listen to my music, man. Right? I want to turn on the record player. At that time, you could have this record player that was like a Bluetooth. And he said, I just want to sit there and vibe out, right? Not deal with anything. After a long week, I just want to, and I laughed. I used to laugh at that, right? But he would have such stories to tell like that one that were so intriguing. He's gone. Right? Into the next plane, the afterlife, right? And I still remember his stories. The guy could sell ice water to an Eskimo, right? Remember that? Right? That saying, he was just that good, but he would do it through story. And I was like, wow, when I was a salesperson at BMW for some years, they used to tell us, you got to find a story, a relatable story with your guest, with your client, that is. You got to find a relatable story, something that they relate to, not so much so about the vehicle, right? And it will make for an easier sale, a better experience for them, right? Because they feel like they had someone that related to or understood or took the time to listen to something that they were talking about that had nothing to do with the purchase of the car. We all know why you came to the dealership, right? You came to obviously look at a vehicle, learn a little bit about it, and then find someone that you could relate to or feel comfortable with selling you this vehicle. So through story, that process and that experience could lead to a great rating at the end of the sales process. And we used to get rated, right? So we had a CSI rating, and the dealership was very heavy about that. They were on us about getting a good rating. I think we were being rated from 1 to 10, right? And if you got somewhere in the 3 or 4, maybe even the 5 too many times, you would get called into the general manager's office, right? And there was a reason for that too. The reason for that was the dealership got a bonus every month, right? From BMW, international or national or something like that, but they would get a bonus every month if all of us met our CSI ratings, right? That just made for a great dealership. We could get a great review when, the reviews weren't necessarily on the internet yet. But yeah, I know I'm dating myself, but that's fine. But yeah, so you had to be able to come up with a relatable story that created a connection between you and the client, right? And that gave you the ability or an opportunity to make that whole process smooth as you could possibly get it. Sometimes your story doesn't work out. Sometimes people just doesn't buy into your story. But having a relatable story makes for a better learning situation for me. It always has. When my professors come in the room, like when you go into, like when I was in college and in school, when the math teacher came into the room, everybody was just like, oh, my God, can we just get through this hour or this 2 hours, right? Because you knew he was going to come in, he was going to crunch numbers, and it was just going to be math, computation after computation, this, the X and the Y and the substitute this for that and all of this stuff. And you were just bored out of your mind. And you wonder why so many people did bad in math, right? Compared to, say, English, right? Compared to, say, history or something, whatever, something that had a story to it that you could relate to, or you would find some kind of interest in, that it would draw you in or pull you in, and you would want to know more. And those of us who want know more. And those of us who wanted to know more about the story that was being told did well, because it intrigued us. We wanted to know more. We wanted to go back home and study, even when they told you to go home and read your book and then come back. We're going to test you on this information. You would actually want to do it, depending on how the message was conveyed through story. In business, the Japanese, right, when the way they used to do business, or do business still, is they meet you the first day, and then it's just like a social day. No business happening on the first day, especially when it's something big. No business happening on the first day. We're trying to get to know each other. We're going to sit down. We're going to have some food. We're going to have a conversation. We're going to tell some stories. We're going to have a great time. And then maybe tomorrow or the next day, then we can start talking about the business. But I need to be able to relate to you first. I need to know where you're coming from. Or I need you to tell me this story in 7 seconds, right? And it needs to be a story that is so far out there that it's going to grab me and make me want to be interested in what you're trying to sell to me. It's like the internet now. You got to grab them in the first 5 seconds, the first 3 seconds. If you don't grab them, put something out there, a shocker sometimes, in order for them to engage, right? To keep their attention. And once you get their attention, now you can tell them a story and then make them an offer, right? If you don't do that, swipe, you're gone. You're out of there. Swipe, I'm done. Swipe, finished, right? Next. And I was just talking about this in a live situation that I went to today. And I was talking about the art of storytelling. And I was saying that my biggest failure, I feel, right, up to this point, in certain social media situations, right, where I was trying to maybe latch on to something, learn something, pick up something, just be, how can I say it, just to be entertained, so to speak, right? You're swiping by and not staying long enough to figure out who's ever the creator of that particular situation, that particular post, that particular meeting, that particular webinar. You're swiping past and you don't really, I wasn't getting the full the meat and potatoes of what somebody was trying to show me, until I reached a point where I was saying, man, I'm tired of swiping, right? I'm getting nothing out of this, right? I'm not starting anything and then watching it and following it to an end so I can actually find out if I'm really interested in that thing, right? And until I started doing that. And then I started to understand, or I started to relate to some of the creators of all of those things that I just mentioned, right? Maybe it's a new product. Maybe it's a new service. Maybe it was something that I could utilize right directly after watching and improve a situation or two that I was going through, right? Maybe I can make some more money right in that situation, right? Right after that person finishes their spill, I could have leveled up, right? Until I did. And I started listening to people's story. And all of anybody who's selling you something worthy of having has perfected their story and made that story relatable, made that story not to everybody, but to those who will sit down and listen, the good storyteller, the great storytellers, right, can almost teach you anything. They can almost sell you anything, right? So if you're a salesperson thinking like, damn, or you just got into the sales situation, or your life has put you in a situation where you need to be able to put yourself out on the front line. You can no longer sit behind the desk in your cubicle. You can no longer stand up somewhere in the background. Now, life is really pushing us to the forefront. And some of us are catching on faster than others and getting ahead of others because of that. And then some of us are trying to figure our way out on, okay, now that life is lifing in this way, where we got to be on the front line, where we have to actually rely on the skill set that we have, but being able to convey that message of that skill set that we have, right? We have to be able to communicate that. And now it's going from a swipe on a post to a face-to-face or a one-to-many faces. And behind the success of that is a story. Wow. Think about it. Ponder that, y'all. It is your story. How well can you tell your story, right? And here is another part of what I wanted to say, a point that I want to make. So many people are afraid to get up and talk about their journeys. We could put on our makeup. We could put on our finest gear, right? We could put on the smell goods after we take a shower. Hopefully you're brushing your teeth. You're brushing your teeth, right? You're putting some mouthwash in there, right? So you're getting ready to go and present yourself, right? So many of us will go and present ourselves at a distance, right? We'll walk around the room and let the room wonder who we are. Wherever you're going, right? Wherever it is, the party, the event, the function, the mixer, the whatever, where there is more than one gathering, right? It could be in church. Doesn't matter, right? We'll put on our Sunday's best. How about that? And go to church and sit there and look at sister this and look at brother that. And we got on this, what we want people to see as my best. I'm looking good today, brother or sister. Look at me. Check me out. Look at my hat, right? Some people used to go to church just to see what the other person was wearing. And I'm pretty sure they're probably still doing that today, man. But it is what it is, right? So you could do all of that. But when it's time to open up your mouth and talk about your stuff, to tell your story, to talk about what's in your mind and what's in your heart, and if you are the one that has to stand in the middle of the room or in front of the audience and be the one that tells that story, some of us can't do it. No. That's too much for me. No, absolutely not. Drives us absolutely insane, right? And some of us want so badly to do it. Some of us want so badly to just, you hear a relatable story and you got something that you want to add, but you can't add it because you are afraid. You look good. You smell good. You look amazing, actually. You smell amazing, right? But open your mouth and let me hear what you got to say. And there's nothing. It's empty, right? And you missed an opportunity. How many of us go home after we were in a situation where something that we knew a ton about, right? We had so much to offer to a conversation that was being had, but we cower down and we don't get that opportunity. We miss the opportunity, actually, to tell our part of our story, right? We miss it. And the conversation is over. You're in the car driving home and you're so upset with yourself because you did not open your damn mouth, right? You're in a Zoom meeting, right? And something is being discussed in a company meeting, maybe, right? Something that's being discussed. You have the answer to solve everybody's problem, but you're too afraid to tell it. How many people do that? Hit the screen, meeting's over, missed opportunity. I was guilty of that, man. I was that guy. I would come into a meeting room full of people and they'd be talking about something and maybe somebody said something that was wrong about how something was supposed to be carried out or something is supposed to be done. And I'm like, no, that's not how that's supposed to go in my own mind. I'm just having a conversation, fight with myself, knowing damn well I want to say, no. I think you're wrong there. Or no. Maybe my situation kind of went like this. No, I would stump my own success in that situation. I would shut myself down. Self-check, they used to call us, right? When you're out on a basketball court when we were young, or when you're out on a basketball court and you run up to make the layup, it's clear. It's a clear shot and you pass the ball because you're afraid of missing the shot, right? You don't want to be really ridiculed because you missed the shot, right? You took the shot and missed. So you don't take the shot. How many of us live like that? How many of us is on that fence, man? Right? A lot of us. I know that was me, right? But no, not too much, but to a certain extent, it depended on where I was. But let me say this to you guys in closing: consistency, right? If you're having a problem with presenting your heart and your mind and your story in front of some people that very well may have the same problem that you have, of being fearful, of being found out, of an imposter syndrome or something like so many people do, right? That's why you don't get started on whatever it is that you know you desire to have in your life, right? Practice. Be consistent. Nobody starts from the top, right? It's very rare. We all came from a spot in a place where we couldn't walk. We couldn't talk. We couldn't communicate outside of a cry, right? We were not independent. Somebody had to love on us and we had to give back. We had to figure out how to walk, how to talk, how to communicate, how to be independent, right? But we had to get these lessons. We had to study, and we did. And we had a desire to grow. Like you have a desire to grow. I'm pretty sure you do. Nobody wants to start at zero and 10 years later still be at zero. I don't care who you are in anything, whatever it is. Zero experiences, zero money in the bank, zero friends, zero community, zero this, zero that, whatever, right? Even now today, when we're doing this social media where everybody's posting. You want followers. Some of us live on a like. You don't start something to have one like and 500 posts later still only have one like. I know that sounds shallow, but it's a fact. It is not the likes, it's the principle of it. We all want to grow. Consistency makes us grow. Because when we do something consistently, even if it's to put ourselves out there, in a situation where we have to stretch, we're stretching, right? This feels bad. This feels awkward. This scares the shit out of me, right? I don't want to do this tomorrow again, right? I hear my kids. At one point, my kids didn't want to, and even me didn't want to, and my wife as well. We didn't want to get up and do the presentation on the job in the classroom. Dad, I got 2 presentations today, and I don't want to do either one of them, right? And I'm like, girl, please. You see me doing a presentation all the time, whether that's in real estate, when in an open house, in an office. You see me in front of the mic, in my podcast space, in whatever it is, right? Right here today with y'all, right? I'm speaking to you, right? Some people are terrified to do this, but if you do it consistently, guess what happens? Self-belief starts to set in. You start to believe in yourself because this is something that you do. This is something that you continuously do, right? And when you start believing in yourself, then other people start believing in you because you keep showing up. You keep showing up. You keep showing your face. They now know that when Tamara is coming, she gonna talk about this or that. You know it, right? Tom is going to come over here and tell us all about this damn new product, or buy this book, buy my masterclass, stop and join my community, yada, 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 on and on and on and on, right? He's going to show up and do the same thing. He's starting to believe. He believes in himself, right? And when you believe in yourself and then other people start believing in yourself, then you can now provide value. Hear me out, right? Now you're providing value. And right, so many people out here are looking for things to spend money on, things to improve their value, improve their output. 10x, right? So many people are looking for ways, especially the most successful people in the world are always looking for ways to create more value because more value solves problems. And when you're solving people's problems, you're probably solving your own, especially if they're financial, because people will pay for solutions to their problems. And people who know, successful people, will throw money hand over fist at a solution to their problems. Yeah, they can keep a doctor on retainer. They keep a lawyer on retainer. They keep an accountant on retainer. They keep real estate people on retainer, right? Because those people hold the solutions to the problem that they may be having, which adds value to them. And then they turn around and add value back. It's a reciprocal thing, y'all, right? Consistency creates belief. Belief creates value, and value changes people's lives, solves people's problems. Man, I hope y'all received that today. This is Chuck Rucker, not meaning to preach to you. I'm just telling you, become a masterful storyteller, and you can deliver all of the value and earn. I would say the sky's the limit, but whatever your limit is, right? Wherever you kind of taper off and say, I'm content right here. Masterful storyteller. Learn how to tell your story and be consistent. And you could change your life and you will change the lives of others. Thank you guys for tuning in to Ruck's Place. I appreciate you so much. And I have grown so much in this space and in this place because of you guys. I'm going to continue to do that. All right. I'll check you guys out on the next episode. Happy Friday, y'all. Have a blessed and beautiful weekend. And as always, put God first, and everything, as his promises, will be added unto you that you desire. Peace.